Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we are gonna do some practical exercise of a basic sound design. Now this is the second part of my previous video, Beginner's Guide for Synthesizer. Now if you don't know how to use Synthesizer, then I highly recommend you to first watch this tutorial, as I explain the main section of a synthesizer, and it's gonna help you to understand any type of synthesizer in order to create your own sounds or to modify presets. So with that said, let's start with this tutorial. Okay, so let's create some sounds from scratch. Now, in order to make this tutorial a little bit more fun, I create a basic drum loop and I already create the harmony. So let's have a listen to this drum loop and the harmony. So it's just a simple drum loop and a beautiful harmony. Now, if I go into the pattern of the harmony, we have the entire harmony, and on the right side, I already divide the main section of this harmony. We have the chords, we have the bass line, and the arpeggio or melody. So let's create first a bass line. So I'm just gonna copy this bass line, Command and C. And now I'm gonna go to the pattern of the bass. And for the bass, I'm gonna use a serum. So double click, piano roll, and I'm gonna paste with the Command B the bass line. Now I'm gonna open Serum, and here on Serum I just have the init preset with a sawtooth wave. So let's have a listen to this bass line with the raw sound. Okay, so I'm gonna create the bass line with the sawtooth wave. Okay, so first I'm gonna select the octave of this oscillator. I think -2 is too low, and the perfect sweet spot for this bass line is -1. It sounds good to me, so now I'm gonna enable the filter, and let's have a listen again to the bassline with the filter enabled. Okay, so at this point, I think this is like a black canvas to design any type of bass sound. So the bassline that I'm looking for is a warm, sustained, analog type of sound. So first, I'm just gonna enable the mono setting just to avoid overlapping in between notes. Now I'm gonna go into the envelope 1, and for this type of bass, I'm gonna leave it as it is. The only thing that I'm gonna modify is the attack, which I'm gonna put it on 0, and I'm gonna add a little bit of release just to avoid clicking at the end of every note. And now I'm gonna select the envelope 2, and I'm gonna assign the envelope 2 to control the cutoff filter. So left click and drag this arrow into the cutoff. Now I'm gonna reduce a little bit the cutoff. I'm also gonna reduce a little bit the amount of modulation, and now I'm gonna modify the ADSR of the envelope 2. So I'm gonna put the attack on 0. I'm gonna reduce the sustain all the way to 0. And I'm gonna add a little bit of decay up to 3 seconds. So let's have a listen to these settings. It sounds good to me. I'm just gonna remove this tension of the shape of the envelope 2. Okay, next I'm gonna enable the noise, and I'm gonna select the microKORG noise. Next, I'm gonna select the envelope 3, and I'm gonna assign the envelope 3 to control the level of the noise. I'm gonna put the level to the minimum, and I'm gonna reduce the amount of modulation. Next, I'm gonna put all the way to the minimum the attack, all the way to the minimum the sustain, and I'm gonna increase the decay up to 3 seconds. And I'm also gonna remove the tension. Let me increase a little bit more the decay. and let's have a listen to these settings. Okay, I think the noise have a lot of presence for this bass, but I don't want to send the noise into this filter. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to the effects section and I'm gonna enable the filter of the effect section. Now with the MG Low 6, I'm gonna reduce a little bit the cutoff. Okay, that sounds good to me. Now I'm gonna go back to the oscillator section and I'm gonna tweak a few parameters of the filter. I'm gonna add a little bit of resonance and I'm gonna increase the fat knob. Okay, now we have pretty much a basic warm type of bass sound. So let's have a listen to this bass in context with the drums. It sounds really good to me, but we can modify a little bit more this bass. So I'm gonna go back to Serum, and now here on Serum, first of all, I'm gonna select the LFO1, and I'm gonna assign the LFO1 to the fine tune knob. Now I'm gonna reduce the amount of modulation to around 20%. Next, I'm gonna change the wave shape of the LFO2, and I'm gonna select a shine wave. Next, I'm gonna disable the BPM option because I wanna control the speed of the rate of the LFO1 in free mode. So let me press play and let's have a listen to the bass. It sounds good to me, but I'm just gonna add a bit of rise in order to avoid the modulation at the beginning of each note. So I think I'm gonna select in between 1 and 2 seconds, 1.4. Let's have a listen to it. A little bit more. That sounds good to me. Okay, and now in order to make this bass to sound stereo, I'm gonna play with the unison and detune knob. So first I'm gonna add 4 voices of unison. And now I'm gonna reduce the detune to around 50%. Now it sounds way better. Now, in order to avoid the low frequencies to being stereo, I'm gonna enable the sub oscillator and I'm gonna select again the sawtooth wave. Now, I'm gonna reduce the octave to -1 and I'm also gonna send the sub oscillator to the filter. Okay, it sounds good, but I think I have to increase the octave of the oscillator 1. Let's have a listen now to the bass. And I think that's the bass that I was looking for. Now just remember that if you use the unison and detune knob for a bass type of sound, remember to also enable the sub oscillator to keep the low frequencies in mono. And now let's have a listen to the bass line in context with the drums, and let's adjust some settings of the bass. Okay, last for this bass line, I think I'm gonna assign the LFO2 to the filter cutoff, just to add a little bit of movement. Now I'm gonna reduce quite a lot the modulation amount. I'm gonna change the wave shape of the LFO2, and I'm gonna select again the shine wave. Now I'm gonna disable the BPM, and I'm gonna try to fine tune with the rate knob. Okay, so now we have the bass line already created. Now let's create the arpeggio or melody sound. So I'm gonna go back to the harmony pattern, and I'm gonna select the arpeggio. Command C to copy, and now I'm gonna go to the Pluck patterns. I'm gonna open this pattern. This time I'm gonna use a diva. So right click on it, piano roll, and I'm gonna paste the MIDI notes. Command V. I'm gonna close the piano roll, and same as with the bass, let's have a listen to this raw sound of diva, which by default have the sawtooth selected. Okay, so let's create a Pluck type of sound for this arpeggio. The first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the type of oscillator, and I'm gonna select the dual VCO. And now at the moment, I'm just gonna put the mix all the way to the VCO 1. And with the VCO 1, I'm gonna leave selected the sawtooth wave. Next, I'm gonna change both envelopes to the digital envelope. Okay, and now we have two different waves to achieve a plucky sound. We can first use the amp envelope to create a plucky sound, or we can leave the envelope as it is and play with the envelope 2 to control the filter. So I think that I prefer the second option. I'm gonna leave the envelope 1 as it is. The only thing that I'm gonna do is to increase all the way to the maximum the decay, and I'm gonna add a little bit of release. And now I'm gonna reduce the cutoff. Okay, now I'm gonna assign the envelope 2 to control the cutoff, which is already done. As you can see on the top, is already assigned to the envelope 2. So I'm gonna increase a little bit the envelope amount. I'm gonna reduce the sustain. Okay, and now this is pretty much as the baseline. At this point, this is like a blank canvas to design any type of a plucky sound. So let's spice up a little bit this arpeggio. So first, I'm gonna increase the mix knob to have a little bit of the VCO2 of the oscillator 2. Now on the oscillator 2, I'm gonna disable the sawtooth and I'm gonna enable the pulse wave. So let's have a listen to the sound. Okay, now in order to make these pluck sounds a little bit more organic, I'm gonna modulate the pulse width modulation. So here on this section, I can control the pulse width, but I wanna modulate it with the LFO number 2, which is already assigned. So first, I'm gonna increase the modulation amount almost to the maximum. I'm gonna put it on 45%. And now I'm gonna change some settings of the LFO2. So first, the polarity, I'm gonna leave it as it is, as I wanna modulate the pulse width in a positive and a negative way. Now I'm gonna change the waveform and I'm gonna select the random glide. And I'm also gonna change the sync or the speed of the LFO2. And I'm gonna select 1/8 notes. Now I'm gonna reduce the depth modulation all the way back to 0. Now I'm gonna press play and I'm gonna increase little by little the depth modulation. That sounds good to me. Now I'm just gonna detune a little bit the oscillator 2 at around 10%, and I'm also gonna enable the noise of the oscillator 1. Again, let's have a listen to this pluck sound. Okay, I think there is quite a lot of unnecessary low frequencies due to the noise. So I'm also gonna add a high-pass filter, in this case the high-pass filter bite. Now I'm gonna increase a little bit the peak or resonance and I'm gonna fine-tune with the cutoff knob. Okay, I think that the noise have a lot of presence on this pluck. So I'm gonna try to reduce the volume of the noise. Now, as you can see in here, I cannot control the volume of only the noise. In order to reduce the volume of the noise, I'm gonna go to the modification tab. And now in here on the VCO, I can control the noise and dual VCO mix. So first, I'm gonna select as a source the envelope 1. And now I'm gonna play with the amount knob to reduce the volume of the noise. Okay, now I'm gonna add different effects. So the first one is gonna be a delay. I'm gonna reduce a little bit the side volume. I'm gonna enable the delay, and the second effect is gonna be a reverb. So I'm gonna select the plate 2, I'm gonna enable the effect, and again I'm gonna reduce the wet knob. So now let me press play and let me fine tune with different knobs of the effects. Okay, it sounds really good to me, but I'm just gonna press play again and I'm gonna adjust some settings of the envelope 2 and the filter. Okay, again, it sounds really good to me, but last, in order to add a little bit of movement, I'm also going to assign the LFO1 to control the cutoff filter. So in order to do that, I'm going to send the second depth modulation of the cutoff, and I'm going to select this time, instead of the LFO2, I'm going to select the LFO1. Now, I'm going to go to the LFO1 and I'm going to change the polarity to unipolar. Next, I'm going to change the waveform and I'm going to select the south down. And now I'm going to go to the sync button and I'm going to select the 8th note, but this time undotted. Now let me press play and let's adjust the depth modulation of the LFO1 and the depth modulation of the cutoff. Now I also want to modulate the rate knob. In order to do that here on Diva, first we have to use the rate modulation, but I need to select a source. So in this case, I'm going to select as a source the LFO2. So I'm going to click on the source and I'm going to select the LFO2. And now let me press play and let's adjust the rate modulation. Okay, and now let's have a listen to this Pluck sound with the rest of the elements of the track. Okay, it sounds good to me, but I think that these Pluck have quite a lot of low frequency. So in order to fix this issue, I'm just gonna go to the mixer, and here on the Pluck, I'm just gonna add a basic parametric EQ2. And with the parametric EQ2, I'm gonna reduce the mid frequencies in order to avoid muddiness. Okay, and last for this Pluck sound, I'm gonna play a little bit with the attack of the envelope 2 to reduce the attack of this Pluck. So let's have a listen to it. Now that we have the bass line and the Pluck or arpeggio, let's make a pad for this track. So again, I'm gonna go to the pattern of the harmony. I'm gonna select the chords, Command C to copy, and I'm gonna go to the pattern of the pad. This time I'm gonna use the Jupiter 8. So right click on it, piano roll, and Command B to paste the MIDI notes. Let me close the piano roll. Now I'm gonna open the Jupiter 8 and let's have a listen to this raw sound. Okay, so one of the most important things when you design a pad type of sound are the envelopes. So first I'm gonna modify some settings of the envelope 2 or amp envelope to make it sound like a pad. Okay, now I'm gonna close a little bit the filter and I'm gonna control the filter with the envelope 1. So I'm gonna increase the modulation knob to be able to control the filter cutoff with the envelope 1. I'm gonna leave it at around 50%. And now I'm gonna modify again the envelope 1. Okay, now I'm gonna go to the VCO2 or the oscillator 2 and I'm gonna change the wave shape. So again, I'm gonna select the pulse wave. Now I'm gonna detune a little bit the sound by around half a semitone and I'm gonna adjust the source mix knob to add a bit of volume to the oscillator 2. I'm gonna reduce the range of the octave of the oscillator 1. Okay, and now in order to add some movement to this pad, I'm gonna modulate the pulse with the LFO. So first I'm gonna go to the VCO modulator, I'm gonna go to the pulse width modulation and I'm gonna select the LFO. And now I'm gonna go to the LFO section, and in here I'm gonna select the sync mode for the rate. Now the rate or the speed, I'm gonna put it on 8th notes, and I'm also gonna change the wave shape of the LFO, and I'm gonna select the sawtooth. So now I'm gonna press play and I'm gonna adjust the pulse with modulation. One 16 notes. I think it's better on 1/8. And I'm gonna use the high pass filter to reduce unnecessary low frequencies. Okay, and now I'm gonna increase a little bit the unison detune to around 2, and I'm also gonna increase the pan spread, which pretty much spread all of the voices of the oscillator to make it sound a little bit more organic and stereo. Okay, and now I'm just gonna add some randomness to this pad. In order to do that, I'm gonna use the LFO2 and the LFO3. So I'm gonna go to the Advanced tab, and in here I have the LFO2 and the LFO3. So let's start with the LFO2. First, I'm gonna change the wave shape, and I'm gonna select again the saw down. Now I'm gonna make it unipolar. And now I'm gonna go to the rate, and I'm gonna select sync dot. And I'm gonna change the speed to 1/8. Okay, and now I'm gonna go to the destination 1, and in here I'm gonna select the BCF cutoff. And I'm gonna press play and adjust some settings like the envelope amount and the fade. Okay, and last, I'm gonna use the LFO3 to modulate the resonance of the filter. So I'm gonna leave the wave shape of the LFO3 as a sine wave, and now I'm gonna change the rate, and I'm gonna leave it on Hertz. Now I'm gonna select the destination, click on it, and I'm gonna select the resonance. And again, I'm gonna press play and adjust some settings. Okay, and last for this pad sound, I'm gonna go to the effect tab and I'm gonna add a different effects. Let's start with the slot number 1. In this case, I'm gonna add a chorus. Okay, now I'm gonna go to the slot number 2 and I'm gonna add a delay. And last, I'm gonna go to the slot number 3 and I'm gonna add a reverb. Okay, so now let's have a listen to this pad sound in context with the rest of the elements. Okay, and now let's have a listen only to these sounds that we already create. The bass, the pad, and the pluck. Okay, and the last thing that I want to mention is that remember that this is just the beginning. Of course, after you create these sounds, then you are going to apply some mixing techniques using the mixer. As you can see here on the baseline, the only plugin that I add is Shaperbox for a sidechain, but you can add multiple effects and different mixing techniques to make it sound better. And you can also create automations to add movement to these different sounds. Let's put as an example the Pluck. So I'm gonna go to the diva or the Pluck instrument, I'm gonna click on it, and for example, I'm gonna automate the depth modulation 1 or the modulation of the envelope 2. So I'm just gonna modify a little bit this knob. Now I'm gonna go into the multi-link controllers, right click on it, and here you can see that this is the diva freak modulation depth knob 1. Click on create automation, and in here you have the automation. So simply add another track to this group, and now you can modify the freak modulation depth of the envelope 2. I'm just gonna start by closing at the beginning a little bit the modulation knob by 55%, and then I'm just gonna create some point to show you an example. Now let's have a listen again to these music elements with this automation. Okay, that's all for me. Hope you like and learned something from this video. As always, if you have any question, please leave a comment below. Thank you very much for watching. My name is JonHut, and I will see you in the next one.